Hello, everyone, and welcome to our orientation for both Ready, Set, Train and Canine Karma. My name is Max Michon. I am the owner of Ready, Set, Train, and today I am going to walk you through the orientation, the class rules, everything you need to bring. We will go through some canine body language and some information about behavior, and then we'll give you a couple homework assignments to do before you bring your puppy to their first class. We're going to start with our class rules. So please arrive on time. Classes start promptly at the designated start time. If you are excessively late, more than 15 to 20 minutes, the trainer has the right to turn you away from that class. We understand that things happen, and if you're running a few minutes late, it's not a big deal. If you are going to be more than a few minutes late, please let us know. But if you are late, especially consistently, it is disruptive to the class. The other dogs will get excited and possibly react to a new dog coming in the room. And the trainer has to then catch you up on everything that you have missed. So please, as much as possible, get to class on time. Ideally, when you are bringing your dog to class, you get there about 10 to 15 minutes early. This gives you time to potty your dog before they come into the building, and it gives them a couple of minutes to settle before class starts. Please wear appropriate clothing for training, so no high heels or open-toed shoes such as sandals or flip-flops. We are going to be up and moving around quite frequently with our dogs, so we don't want anyone stumbling. We don't want anyone falling. We don't want any dog or person getting hurt. So just wear appropriate clothing for some active movement. No dogs are allowed to meet on leash. So we have a 6-foot rule. You want to keep dogs 6 feet apart when on leash at all times. Do not let your dog go up to another dog while they are in class and on leash. For puppy class, we do have a portion, the last 15 to 20 minutes of each class, we have off-leash play and interaction. So puppies will get a chance to socialize, but it will be in a controlled off-leash manner. Humans are also not allowed to go up and greet the other dogs in class. Not every dog is comfortable with a new person coming up to them, and we also don't want dogs practicing bad behaviors like jumping or barking to get attention. There will be designated times in the classes that we allow the dogs to greet new people. So if you are wanting to interact with one of the dogs in class, we will have a time to do that. But don't just run up on your own to pet another dog. We do not allow any physical punishment. So if you hit, harm, excessively scare your dog, we have the right to immediately dismiss you from that class. We also do not allow any retractable leashes, prong or choke collars, shock collars, or bark collars. Make sure all of the equipment that you're using is securely fitted to your dog before coming to class. We recommend martingale collars, also known as no-slip collars, because the dogs cannot back out of them, and they put more even tension around the dog's neck. We also recommend front clip harnesses because if the dog pulls, instead of the attachment being on the back where the dog has the most strength and there's something called oppositional reflex, a front clip harness will turn the dog and make it easier for you to redirect and stop the pulling behavior. If you're interested in learning more about the harnesses and collars we recommend, please go to our website in the resource section. There is a tab completely devoted to training equipment that we recommend. We also sell some front clip harnesses at our studio, so you're welcome to check those out when you come to class. Regardless of what equipment you use, again, make sure it is securely fitted. The collar, you should adjust it right behind the dog's ears, the thinnest part of the neck, and get 2 fingers between the collar and the neck. And the harness, check the fit behind their legs, at their chest, 2 fingers. If there's more movement, the collar or the harness could come off. If your dog is sick or has diarrhea, is showing those signs at least 48 hours before class, please do not bring them to the class. We do not want any sort of sickness getting spread between the dogs. We take health and safety very seriously. You can just attend once your dog has gotten over that illness or their stool and their stomach has firmed up. What do you want to bring to class? A hungry dog. Don't feed your dog before class. If they're a little hungry, they will be more food motivated. We will be using some treats, so the more hungry they are, the better they will do with learning the exercises. Please bring some sort of treat pouch. You bring some sort of high-value treat. So we recommend freeze-dried chicken, cheese, hot dogs, anything that is very high value that you know your dog will like. We also ask that you bring another small container or bag of treats and you leave it on, there's a front desk right when you walk in the door. You'll put your dog's name on that little baggie or container, and in class, we will use those treats if we start to do some socialization and polite greeting exercises when people start going around the room, or if your dog has some food sensitivity or allergies, we'll make sure we use that container when interacting or working with your dog. Also bring a small mat, a blanket, or a towel for your dog to lay on. You will put this at your spot when you come in. Bring some sort of long-lasting chew, boy stick, tendon, stuffed Kong, etc., something that your dog can engage with. So when you come into class, you'll put that blanket down and give your dog the chew. Hopefully this will help keep them a little bit focused and they won't get as excited about all the other dogs. You can also give them this chew in between exercises when I'm discussing or demoing something. Bring a poop bag and a clicker. We'll give out clickers you're the first time that you come, so you don't have to use a clicker if you don't want to, but we'll provide those. And then make sure that your equipment is again securely fitted to your dog. Sanitation. We require proof of vaccines, rabies and DHLPP, and a negative fecal on every dog that enters the training center. So please email those vaccination records before you come. Our email will be at the end of this presentation. Please be sure to potty in the appropriate potty area across when you come in and park. There's a big grassy area across from where our building is. Try to avoid the area directly in front of the door to the business. Out of respect for the businesses on either side of us, we try not to have a bunch of poop and pee in that area. If your dog does poop outside, please clean up after your dog. Do not leave the poop out in the grass for other people to accidentally step in. And then we have a designated poop trash right outside our door. Do not bring the poop into the building. Please help us keep our studio clean. If it is rainy or muddy, please walk across all of the carpets we have laid out several times and try to have your dog do the same just to help dry and wipe off their paws. When you're outside, try to avoid muddy areas as much as possible. If your puppy pees or poops or pukes in the class, please notify us immediately, or myself or one of the assistant trainers will come and clean it up. We have special vet grade cleaner and deodorizer to take care of the mess. If possible, please do not allow your dog to run through the mess. How should you come into class? Arrive a few minutes early. 5 to 10 minutes gives you enough time to potty your dog, and then come in and let them relax for a couple of minutes. Wipe your feet when you come in the building. You should be prepared before you come inside. So enter with your treat pouch on you. Your treats should be readily available so you can redirect your dog if needed. The leash should be over your wrist so you have secure handle of your dog, and you should have already made sure all of the equipment is securely fitted. When you walk in, place your small extra bag of treats on the desk, and then we will direct you to which station you should go to. So we'll have multiple stations set up. You will go to that station, get out your blanket or mat, take out your long-lasting interactive toy or chew, and try to keep your dog calm until class begins. Next, we're going to go over some backgrounds with dogs. So developmental periods, canine body language, how dogs learn, the importance of management and supervision, our philosophy on training, and then how do you meet your dog's needs. Developmental periods. 3 to 16 weeks is the most influential time of the dog's life. It is what's known as the primary socialization window. At this time, it's very, very important that puppies have lots of positive exposure to new people, other animals, and different situations. If our dogs do not get enough socialization and exposure, they are more likely to develop fear responses or possibly aggressive behaviors due to the lack of socialization. That is what the puppy class is intending to do, is give the dogs lots of positive socialization and interactions. 8 to 10 weeks, dogs go through what's called a fear period. Their first fear period happens at this time. They are more likely to be fearful or show stress signs during the first fear period. Somewhere between 6 months to a year and a half, some dogs, not every dog, but some dogs will go through what's known as a secondary fear period. At this time, your dog will all of a sudden become fearful or stressed about stimuli or events that previously were not stressful. You'll know that your dog is in a fear period if all of a sudden they don't want to go up to people that they had known and trusted, that they start to freak out and bark at the fire hydrant they had previously walked by every day and didn't care about. So you'll see a heightened level of stress, fear, or reactivity that previously wasn't there. A fear period can last anywhere between 2 weeks to maybe 2 months. So at this time, it's really important if your dog does go through a fear period to make lots of positive exposure happen again. If you don't, sometimes those behaviors solidify. Most dogs reach social maturity somewhere between 2 to 3 years of age. So when a dog hits social maturity, they do tend to calm down slightly, and behavior, again, solidifies more at that time. So it's important that we can try to do as much positive socialization and exposure and training before 2 years of age as possible to prevent behavior problems from happening. And when we say positive socialization and training means we will have fewer behavior issues as a dog gets older. So now is the time to be proactive, socialize, train, and expose your dog. And then you will have a more well-balanced dog as an adult. Next, we're going to talk about canine body language. So how do our dogs communicate with us? It is through their behavior and through their body language. So especially for our puppies, it's really important that we get to learn different signals to know if they are happy, if they are stressed, or if they are getting shut down. So we'll go through a bunch of different parts of the dog's body, and then we'll rank these from red, which is high level of stress and a stop, caution, which is a yellow, and green, which is low to no stress. And we'll, again, go through all the different parts of the body now. We'll start with the mouth. So most people know that if a dog is kind of baring or showing their teeth, this is an aggressive behavior. It's a threat response. But the two dogs, the one on the left and the one on the right, are both baring their teeth, but have different motivations behind their behavior. So the little min pin or chihuahua on the left, its ears are pinned back. It is showing what's called a whale eye. You can see the whites of its eye. Its pupils are dilated, its head is down, and it is baring all of its teeth. So you can see it has pulled its lips up, and you can see all of its upper teeth. This is a threat display. This dog is doing this because it is scared. This dog, if you never pushed it or got in its face, it would probably never go out and actively bite or attack you. The dog on the right, however, is not scared. It's doing what's called a hard stare. So it's locked on and its eyes are fixated on the thing that it thinks is a threat. Its ears are forward. Its body is stiff. So his head, spine, and tail are all in alignment. And then it's also showing its teeth, but in a way that is getting ready to actually lunge or bite. So both dogs showing their teeth, different motivations behind it. In the middle, the dog is doing something called a displacement behavior. So displacement behaviors are naturally occurring behaviors that happen out of context. It is normal for a dog to pant if it's hot out or if they've been exercising. It is not normal if those two things are not happening. So you can usually tell a stress pant compared to an actual pant where the dog is hot, because when a dog is stress panting, they are barely holding the tongue out of their mouth. So in this picture, the dog is actually probably hot and stressed, so it's not the best picture of a stress pant. Normally, again, the tongue would just be barely held out of its mouth or almost still in the dog's mouth because it's not trying to actually cool itself. A yawn is another displacement behavior. So a dog will yawn when it starts to get stressed. If your dog just woke up from a nap, if they're tired, it's normal for them to yawn. If you walk towards your dog with a pair of nail clippers and reach for its paw and it turns its head away and yawns, that's a stress response. A tightly closed mouth is also related to stress. We know that the mouth is tightly closed because it'll be accompanied by wrinkles on the face. So it's kind of the equivalent, I like to say, of a dog or a person clenching their jaw. There's a lot of tension, there's a lot of stress in the face or in the body. Lip licking is another displacement behavior. It's normal for your dog to lick their lips if there's food around. If there's no food around and your dog is flicking their lip or their tongue up towards their lip or licking their lips, that is a stress behavior. We would like dogs to be relaxed, so no tension in the face, mouth slightly open, or if the mouth is closed, no wrinkles in the face, so no tension. To me, I always say these dogs look like they're almost like smiling. They're happy, they're relaxed, their ears are neutral, their mouths are open, their body and eyes are soft. That is what we would like to see. Eyes, we don't want what's called a hard stare. So all of these dogs are doing a hard stare. For a hard stare, your dog will get locked onto something, get hyperfixated, and it's very difficult to break their attention. It'll sometimes be accompanied by a lowered head, stiff body, slow movement. We don't like hard stares. If your dog starts to do this, try to break their attention and get them to disengage and move away as quickly as possible. Avoidance, or looking away, avoiding eye contact, is a lower level stress behavior. So dogs will a lot of times avoid at first before they start to show any sort of proactive like aggression. So if you see a lot of avoidance, that is something you want to work on. A half moon eye, a crescent moon eye, whale eye, this has lots of different names. People call it lots of different things, but essentially it is when you see the whites of the dog's eye. This is happening because the dog is opening their eyes very wide in response to something that is making them nervous. And because of that, when they open their eye very wide, they will also usually try to look at the thing that's making them nervous, and you will then see the whites of the dog's eye. So whale eye can be followed by something called a freeze. When you see a freeze, you definitely want to back up, because a freeze, when the dog completely stops all movement, is usually then followed by a bite or a snap. Wrinkles in the face, we already talked about this, but this is related to the tightly closed mouth, and that means there's some level of stress or tension in the dog. Eyes, soft, relaxed eyes. The pupils aren't dilated, they don't have the hard stare, and it's accompanied by other relaxed body language, so neutral ears, no tension in the face, loose, relaxed body. Ears, we don't want extremes, so if a dog has got the ears pinned back flat against their head, that's not good, especially if it's related with like the wrinkles in the face, the whale eye, the tightly closed mouth. That can be related to stress or fear. We also don't want a dog that puts their ears up and forward. This is related to possibly high levels of arousal or aggression. So ears pinned back, not good. Ears super far up and forward, not good. Flying nun ears, alert ears, moving ears. These dogs are all doing ear movement. That is, they're trying to listen to or get information about the world around them. So If you see them doing this, your dog is listening or focusing on something, and you want to pay attention because your dog could start to calm down or it could start to rev itself up. That's why we say it's a caution. You should pay attention to see in what direction the body, language, and behavior goes. And then we would like neutral ears. So not super far forward, not super far back. I say look at your dog when they are relaxed and when they are calm and see where do they normally carry their ears. Look for deviations from that. That will tell you if your dog is starting to get stressed, aroused, fearful, etc. Tail. We don't want extremes with our tail, just like with the ears. If the tail, most people know if the tail is tucked underneath the dog's body, if it's really low, that means the dog is stressed or afraid. Even if the tail is wagging, that dog is still uncomfortable. And the opposite goes for that high tail where it's kind of standing straight up. We call it a flag tail. Even if that tail is wagging, that is related to high levels of arousal or possibly aggression. So a wagging tail does not necessarily mean the dog is happy. We want to pay attention to the height and the carriage of the tail more than if the tail is wagging. So again, straight up flag tail, not good. Low tail tucked under the body, also not good. A dog that stops moving its tail is also something to pay attention to. So the dog on the left is holding its tail straight out for balance. It's stalking something. It's not moving its tail. The dog in the middle is locked onto something. Its ears are forward. Its body is stiff. That tail is straight up, and it is also not moving. And then the dog on the right is licking his lips. Its ears are forward. Its body is stiff. Its tail is out and not moving. It is also locked onto something. Tail, if we see our relaxed tail, if the dog is wagging their tail, it should be in a loose circular motion. Every dog is, again, different in where they normally carry their tail. So look at your dog when they're happy, when they're relaxed, and see where they normally hold their tail. Look for deviations from that. Even a curved tail, you can see them raise or lower it. So these Spitz breed dogs with the curled tail on the right, you want to look at the base of their spine where the tail comes off of their body, and that will help you understand what their tail carriage is. And then this is what I do when I look at a dog. So at what does their body look like overall? If they are moving slowly, if they are stiff, if they are posturing or putting themselves over the top of another dog or a person, these are warning signs. We don't want to see that. So if you just focus on one part of the dog's body, it could sometimes mean multiple things. So again, if a dog's tail is wagging, it could mean they're happy. It could mean they're scared. It could mean they're aggressive. So you don't want to just focus on one thing. Look at the overall body posture first, and then start to focus in on the different parts. So stiff, tense, that's not good. If a dog is also making themselves excessively small and showing lots of avoidance or being frozen, like the dog on the right, that's not good. Starting to make themselves smaller, crouching, lowering their body. The dog is starting to get uncomfortable. It's something to pay attention to and be cautious of. Shake off is another displacement behavior. It's normal for your dog to shake off if they're wet. If your dog interacts with another dog and walks away and shakes off, they were probably a little stressed out and they're trying to calm themselves down after that interaction. And then we would like loose, wiggly, relaxed body. Their head, their spine, and their tail should be out of alignment. Their whole butt is almost kind of wiggling if they're wagging their tail. Their mouths are open. Their eyes are soft. Some dogs will even do distance decreasing behaviors like a play bow or lay down and do what's called self-handicapping. Some dogs will roll over on their belly to show that they're not a threat. So what I would like you to do is we'll look at a couple of pictures here, and you can tell me based on the picture of what do you think is going on with this dog? Is this a green, the dog is fine? Is this a yellow, the caution? Or is this a red and the dog is very stressed? So I'll walk through this first one together, and then I'll have everyone watching on your own. You can kind of guess and see what you think might be going on. So our cheat sheet, if we see lots of stress behaviors happening at the same time, stacked up on top of each other, that's a red. If you maybe see one or two, then that would be a caution. If you can not really name any stress behaviors, that would be a green, and that's a go. So this dog, we see a tightly closed mouth, and we know that because there's wrinkles on the face. We see the ears are pinned back, the head is slightly lowered, the hair is standing up a little bit, the tail is tucked underneath its body. And then I say, what's happening to this dog? What's going on in this picture? There's a bunch of kids reaching over the dog's head. So we named a lot of stress behaviors: the mouth, the wrinkles, the ears, the hair, the tail, the head carriage. So this dog would be a red. If it was my dog, I would try to get the dog out of this situation to make sure they're not getting overwhelmed so their behavior does not escalate. So now you guys can guess. Look at this next dog. What do you see? Go through the different parts of the body and see what behaviors you think are going on. Do you think it's a red? Do you think it's a yellow? Or do you think it's a green? So the answer, another red. Ears are forward, wrinkles on the face, hard stare, tightly closed mouth, stiff body, tail down. If I was walking up onto someone's property and this dog came out in front of me, I would probably stop and try to back away. How about this guy? Is this a red, a caution, or a green? So this one, we would say is a green. His tongue is out, but he's panting. Looks like he's actually outside and running around and peeing. It's hot outside. The ears are a little up, but they're not like forward. There's no wrinkles on the face. There's a soft eye. The dog is laying down. We can't really see any stress signals. We would say that this dog is just happy and hanging out with his little buddy over there. How about this guy? Is this a red, a caution, or a green? So this one, caution. So there's no wrinkles on the face. We do see maybe a little bit of stress in the eyes with avoiding eye contact or trying to look away. And the mouth is closed. We don't see like that happy kind of bright smile. But those are maybe the two things that we could see: a little bit of avoidance and the closed mouth. This dog probably doesn't love the fact that it's getting put in a chokehold by the little kid, but the second that they take the picture and the kid lets go, the dog is probably fine. So a caution, we would want to make sure the dog's behavior doesn't escalate, but we're probably not at risk of a bite in this situation. And this is what we want you to think about, especially with your puppies. Always be your dog's advocate. If you see your dog is showing body language related to fear or anxiety or aggression, you need to step up and be your dog's advocate in that situation. Get them out of the situation or environment that is causing the stress reaction. Stop people or other dogs from overwhelming your dog. A lot of dogs learn to be aggressive or reactive because when they tried to avoid, when they were showing subtle signs of stress, no one cared. So every single time a dog got close to me, I was licking my lips and looking away and hiding, but nobody helped me, and now I got scared and scared and scared. But then the dog says the first time that I growled and snapped and lunged at the dog that was coming up to me, well, that dog got pulled away. My owners took me away. So that subtle behavior, being calm and trying to avoid, didn't work. But the aggressive behavior gave the reaction and the consequence that the dog wanted. So a lot of aggression, a lot of fear is based, or a lot of reactivity is based in fear. So we need to make sure that we don't inadvertently cause our dogs to have those reactions. So when you are out with your puppy, if you see that they are overwhelmed or scared, it's really important that you try to back things off and make them feel comfortable again. So now we're going to talk a little bit about how dogs learn. The first one is learning through association. So associative learning is happening all the time, whether we realize it or not. Dogs are incredibly skilled at making connections between events, people, places, or experiences. This ability helps them learn about their world and predict what might happen next. For associative learning to occur, two events must consistently happen together, or one must reliably predict the other event. Over time, your dog begins to expect one event whenever the other occurs. So some common examples of this include the food bowl coming out. So when your dog hears the food container open or the bag crinkle, when the kibble hits the bowl, most dogs get excited. They know, based on those sounds or those visual cues of the bowl, it's food time, it's feeding time. Same thing with the leash. A lot of dogs get excited when they see the leash. They say, oh my gosh, we're going for a walk or going for a car ride. The sound of the doorbell. Most dogs say, oh, that pesky delivery guy's back again. There's somebody at the door. They run to the window, they run to the door, they bark, they get excited. So these events are always connected together. If I were going to be mean and never take my dog for another walk, if I showed them the leash and then every single day I went and sat and watched Netflix, after a year, they're probably not going to get excited about the leash coming out anymore because the leash is no longer connected to a walk or a car ride. So this is one way our dogs learn, is they make associations, they make connections between events that happen in their lives over and over again. The other way that they learn is operant learning, or you can think of it as trial and error learning. So in this type of learning, a dog makes an association between good and bad consequences and the behaviors that they're trying or that they're practicing when those good or bad consequences happen. So if your dog tries something and has a bad consequence, they're less likely to try it again. If it has a good consequence, they are more likely to try it again. Some examples. A dog jumps on you for attention and you turn your back, ignore, and walk out of the room. Bad consequence. The dog wanted your attention and the opposite effect happened. This would likely decrease the behavior over time. The dog sits and you give attention. Good consequence. The dog is more likely to sit. The dog whines and you notice it and talk to it. Good consequence. In the dog's mind, whining made you give attention. The dog offers eye contact and you give him a treat. Good consequence. The dog is more likely to increase eye contact. And then our philosophy with training, so these are some things that we do positive reinforcement training. So we want to reinforce our dog's good behavior. We want to focus on what we want our dogs to do, hunt for good behaviors, and if you reinforce them, the dog will repeat them. Dogs repeat behaviors that work. They are amoral and opportunistic. It's really important that we notice our dog's behavior and don't just focus on the bad stuff. So I like to say people are more prone to noticing things that we don't like than maybe the things that we do like. And for our dogs, it is sometimes less obvious when they're doing a good behavior. If the dog quietly comes and sits in front of you, maybe we didn't notice that. But when the dog is barking and jumping on us, it's hard to not notice those behaviors. So we have to make sure we don't inadvertently ignore good behaviors and only react and acknowledge bad behavior. Punishment in the form of pain or fear is not needed to train your dog. Try to take away what your dog wanted if they're doing something inappropriate. In the terms of inappropriate attention-seeking behavior, what we ignore tends to go away. So don't talk, touch, or look at your dog when they're doing inappropriate attention-seeking behaviors. And reinforcement can be lots of different things. It can be praise and attention. It could be a toy. It could be access to people or areas the dog wants to go. But it's important to reinforce our dog's good behaviors, especially at first when they're learning something new. Management and supervision is super important, especially for dogs under 2 years of age. So management means we are preventing problem behaviors before they happen through the use of tools/equipment like gates, crates, leashes, or tethers. If you cannot actively supervise and train your dog, so supervision means you're actively paying attention. it's important that we employ some management tools to prevent the learning of bad behaviors. And then we still need to make sure that all of our dog's needs are being met. So what do we mean by meeting our dog's needs? These are the things that we think are important. One is training. So you need to train your dog to do the behaviors and understand what we want them to do in different situations. Every dog also needs exercise. So every dog is different in how much exercise they need. But if your dog is not getting enough exercise, if they're not slightly tired, they're more likely to get into trouble and practice bad, amped up behavior. And then the other thing that's almost just as important as exercise, physical exercise, is mental enrichment and stimulation. Our dogs are naturally problem solvers. So if you are not giving your dog good problems to solve, if you're not stimulating their brain in the right way, they will start to try to solve their own problems. And that often looks like behavior issues like getting in the trash, jumping the fence, digging, barking out the window, stealing objects off counters. This becomes their mental enrichment. This is how they solve problems. If we are occupying our dog's brain, they're less likely to do this. So personally, I use my dog's feeding time as an opportunity for enrichment or training. I put my dog's food in some sort of interactive toy or bowl, or I train them at feeding time where I use their food throughout the day to reinforce good behavior. So figure out, what is the balance that your dog needs of training, exercise, and mental enrichment. Some dogs can need some help if they're too amped up all the time, if they get highly stressed, or situationally. Sometimes there are environments that cause them to get more amped or stressed. So we like to say there are some easy, kind of over-the-counter natural options that you can try. So Thunder Calm or Thunder Ease they made a synthetic version of a pheromone that a mother dog releases when she's nursing, and it comes in a collar, a spray, or a diffuser. Composure or Composure Pro is a daily chew. It lasts 4 to 6 hours. It's made up of things like chamomile and L-theanine, and it has a calming effect. And then Purina Pro Plan Calming Care is a probiotic that you sprinkle on your dog's food every day, and it promotes the production of serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter that has a calming effect on the dog's brain. These are easy things that you could try if you feel like your dog or your puppy needs a little extra help. So in summary, be fair, be predictable, and be consistent. Make sure your criteria stays the same so your dog knows what to expect. If distractions are high, lower your expectations and lower your reinforcement rate. Dogs know safe versus unsafe. Dogs are always learning. Everything is a potential chew toy, especially for a puppy. So remember, management is important. Set your dog up for success. Reward what you want to see again. Redirect your dog when needed. Manage the environment to not let behavior problems happen. Try to always end on a good note. The final thing that we're going to go over today are just some homework exercises. So we're going to talk about priming a clicker or a marker. We're going to work on name recognition. We're going to capture eye contact, and we're going to teach a watch cue. So we do something called clicker or marker training. So a clicker is a small device that makes a distinct clicking sound and is used in dog training to mark the exact moment a dog does something correctly. Think of it as taking a picture of a moment in time that you want to reward. Why do I want to use a clicker? Clear communication. Dogs don't understand human language, so the clicker acts as a consistent and precise way to communicate. Gives your dog instant feedback. The click tells the dog exactly what they did right at that exact moment. Helps them learn faster. And then positive reinforcement. Every time you click, you follow it up with a treat or reward, praise, attention, things like that. The dog quickly learns that hearing the click means that they did something good, and they are going to get a reward because of the behavior they were doing. So if I ask my dog to sit, I would click or use their marker the second their butt hits the ground. And now they understand that they can, why they're getting that reward. Clicker or marker training also helps us keep treats out of our hand. So we really need to reward or mark behaviors the second they're happening. But if we're constantly holding treats, a lot of times the dog gets hyperfixated on the food in our hand and doesn't allow them to focus on the right thing. So if we're doing marker training, we do not have to have the food in our hands. We can just mark the dog when they do the behavior, and then the reward can come afterwards, so we're not inadvertently distracting the dog. Your first homework assignment is going to be priming a clicker or a marker. So you could also say a word like yes or nice or good. So how do we do this? You're going to choose a home base. Keep your hands at your side or behind your back. Avoid putting your hands in the treat bag, in your pocket, or holding treats directly in front of the dog. You're going to return to this location after every mark attempt. So you're going to charge your clicker first. So click or say your marker word, then immediately give your dog a treat. It's important that we do this as two separate events. So we want the mark to happen, and then half a second or a second afterwards, we move to deliver the treat. We don't want to do it at the same time, or the dog will probably again hyperfixate on the food or your body movement. When your dog does something you like sits in front of you, you can immediately click or say your marker word and then give a reward. So remember, the reward comes after clicking. You want your dog to really understand the marker. We will also attach a video that you can watch to help you understand how to teach the marker to your email that you'll receive. The next thing we work on is name recognition. So we say this is level 1 of name recognition. All we're trying to do is create a positive association between the dog's name and getting something good. So what should you do? Randomly throughout the day, say your dog's name one time, and regardless if they look at you or not, reward them with a treat. We're trying to make them think that their name is awesome. I love hearing my name because it predicts good consequences. Practice this in different locations. Say your dog's name in different tones of voice. Chances are you're not always happy and cheerful every single time you say your dog's name. And we don't want them to care how you sound. So you should practice like you're happy, like you're angry, like you're nervous, like you're sad. You want this to be bulletproof. The dog does not care how you sound. They just respond to their name the same way every time. We'll start to work on name, eventually turning into eye contact. But your homework at first is just say their name, give them something good. Create a positive association. And then don't repeat your dog's name over and over without a response. Try not to use your dog's name as a punishment. Those two things make name recognition a lot of times become unreliable. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about capturing eye contact. So for this one, we're going to use something your dog wants, for example, a treat. You're going to put it to their nose. You're going to hold it to their nose for a second or two. They're going to get interested in it, and then you're going to hold it out to the side. And at first, your dog is going to stare at that treat. They might do something inappropriate. They might try to bark or jump. If they do that, take the treat, put it behind your back, take it away for a couple of seconds. Once they're calm, return the treat to their nose and start over. Eventually, what's going to happen is your dog is going to look at you. When they look at you, while not offering any bad behavior, mark, click your clicker, or say good or yes or nice, whatever your verbal marker is, then deliver the treat to the dog. Repeat this over and over again until you are getting your dog to consistently look at you when you hold the treat out to the side. The final exercise we're going to do is teaching a watch cue. So after warming up your dog with the previous exercise, they should be pretty good at offering eye contact before we move to this one. You want to toss a treat, and then once your dog eats the treat, when they're turning around, you can say their name, or you can just wait, and when they look up at you, say watch, and then kind of point to your eye or your nose area. When the dog looks at you for several seconds, mark, and then toss a treat away to reset them. Keep repeating this process over and over, capturing eye contact and getting your dog to eventually do this behavior on cue. So we have 4 things we're working on: teaching a marker word or a clicker, working on creating a positive association with the dog hearing their name, teaching how to offer eye contact by holding a treat out to the side, and then teaching a watch cue. And again, we will attach to the email that you have received with this orientation, there will also be some videos with teaching these behaviors that you can watch. So thank you guys for watching our orientation. If you have any final questions, thoughts, or you're confused or not sure about something, you can reach out to us at info.readysettrain@gmail.com, and we will answer any questions that you have. So once we are looking forward to having you start Start Right Preschool. We'll see you all soon. Thank you so much.